Saludos programas and welcome to another edition of the Rampage Clean-up. I am here, as always, with my friend and amigo.
Hello everyone, I'm back. This is Mikey. I'm so happy to come back and review Rampage with my friend Adolfo here. This was actually a really fun Rampage.
It was.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was. And I am Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican, so let's just get right into it. So to start tonight's AEW Rampage off, we had Naturally Limitless, Dustin Rhodes and Keith Lee versus Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ang of the JSA. Mikey, what'd you think?
So immediately when I saw this match, you know, some wrestlers are there to win championships, others are there to put others over. And essentially, as soon as I saw Dustin and Keith going up against the JAS boys, I was like, oh, they're not winning. The JAS boys are not winning this match. This was a fine match. I don't think there was anything inherently wrong. I thought the wrestling was a lot of fun. Of course, Dustin and Keith make one heck of a tag team.
Yeah, they do.
The JAS boys are nothing to sneeze at either because they got some offense in, but Keith Lee is just the perfect specimen to be able to do these kind of comedy bits with, especially when you have smaller wrestlers go up against like him.
Yeah, he sells it so good too. Like towards the end, when the JSA boys, when they were trying to roll him over, and it took the two of them to roll him over. He sells that really, really well. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. There was nothing inherently wrong with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, Naturally Limitless picked up the victory here, kind of what I expected from this kind of match.
Yep.
I just don't know exactly what we're doing in terms of the storytelling. Again, Rampage is like a black hole of a mashup of whatever they decide to put on the card.
I mean, having said that, though, if Dustin Rhodes and Keith Lee do become a new tag team of Naturally Limitless, and this isn't just like a one-off thing, I'd be fine with that too, because I thought that they worked really well together. You know, I thoroughly enjoy when tag team partners, when you have like a big power tag team, big power partner, and they use the other partner as a weapon, like like Keith Lee was doing tonight. So it actually looked like the two of them were genuinely having fun in the ring. So if they stay together as an actual tag team, I'm good with that.
I'm here for this one too. They've wrestled together as a team for a little bit now, and I would love to see that. Oh man, FTR versus them would be so good.
Right? So that moved us over to our first spot of the night for QTV.
Boot. In the words of RuPaul, boot. So, I have so many feelings about this. You don't want to give one group like too many branching story paths here. And I feel that that's what's happening with QTV because you have two branching storylines right now. Yeah. You have QTV feuding with the Acclaimed and, Daddy Ass. And I'm just like, okay. And then Powerhouse Hobbs is about to bash QT Marshall's face after what happened in his match against Ricky Starks last week during Collision. So there's some tension building. I'm like, why? But this faction has barely been around for like a month and a half, and there's already signs of it breaking up. I'm like, just break them up. Like, Powerhouse Hobbs and Johnny TV can be a team for a little bit, but have them build up some singles wins because this particular faction storyline is at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and they really, in my personal opinion, you brought in Johnny TV. You need to push him, and I personally think that it should be, if we're going to keep QTV as a thing, then Johnny TV needs to be like their main wrestling guy. And I think that the good rivalry for him is with Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yes, let the feud, like Powerhouse was the central point, but now Johnny TV, like Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat comes in.
Yep.
And just like, it's like, all right, let's fight. I'm like, okay, cool. again, this feud between them and the Acclaim is doing nothing, and I'm trying to imagine. So you have the Acclaimed Daddy Ass taking on Johnny TV, probably QT,
Cute, yeah.
and then I'm like, it makes no sense if you bring Hobbs into it. So maybe Aaron. So I don't know, man.
Right,
I don't know what's happening.
right, exactly. So that brought us into our first women's match of the night, where we had Taya Valkyrie versus Izzy McQueen. It was a 30-second. Did it even last 30 seconds?
I think I'll give it a generous, like maybe 45 seconds. But
Okay.
this
It was a
less
squash
than a
match.
minute for sure.
Yeah, Taya Valkyrie just like wrecked Izzy McQueen. It was 40 seconds. Boom. But then this did lead into Toni Storm coming out and talking some smack to Taya Valkyrie, and we are going to be getting tomorrow night at Battle of the Belts Taya Valkyrie versus Toni Storm.
This is the AEW Women's
AEW.
Yeah, I have a problem with this, and here's why. Here's a couple of reasons. I love that the women's belts being defended at Battle of the Belts, right? I love Toni Storm. I love Taya Valkyrie. And this has been a problem with the last couple of Battle of the Belts. It's like, we're just throwing matches together for the sake of throwing matches.
Yeah.
And what's even weirder is that you don't necessarily always have to have face versus heel. But Tony's a heel, Taya's a heel, but I'm rooting for Taya, I guess, because
right. Yep.
I've said this on multiple occasions. I love Toni Storm, but she is somebody who makes it hard for me to believe that she's a heel, because the whole structure of this promo is that she basically said that Taya is stupid, like we're in middle school. Like, she's Canadian, so she did the cheap shot of making fun of where they're at, calling her a loser. I was like, I know the Outcast is like supposed to be like juvenile delinquents, but I'm like, this writing was not good.
No, the writing was not good. I do agree. It did seem like it was kind of just like, we need a woman's defense for Battle of the Belts. Whee! But I am excited to see the match tomorrow night.
For sure. The match is gonna be baller.
Yeah.
It's just I hate this is what we've reduced the AEW Women's Championship to.
So
championship matches.
Yeah, speaking of championship matches, that led us into our next spot of the night, which was like a 2-minute spot where Hook was eating at some outdoor cafe in New York City, quote unquote, and in his Hook way, he was just like, "All right, Jack Perry, you want a shot? Title, here it is." And he put the FTW belt on the table. He's like, "You get your shot." So we're gonna have Hook versus Jack Perry. Also tomorrow night at Battle of the Belts?
No. So that championship match is happening at Blood and Guts.
At Blood and Guts.
On Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah.
What? This feud is trash. I'm sorry. I hate this feud. It makes no sense to me, Adolfo. Oh my gosh. I thought I was over it and I got it out of my system during the Dynamite review. But then when I saw this like video vignette, I'm like, ooh, this just made me more mad. This feud sucks. And I was like, okay, we're probably going to build towards the next pay-per-view. Oh, we're getting in at Dynamite next week. Never mind. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. Like when Jack Perry turned on Hook at
Forbidden Door.
I was like, okay. All right. We're doing this. And then, what was it? On Dynamite that week, when Jack Perry came out, and then Hook chased him into the back, and Jack Perry did that thing where he jumped into the car type thing. I was like, okay, give me more. Ever since then, it's you haven't had enough time for Jack Perry to really like nurture that heel role, and you haven't had enough time to have this rivalry between Hook and Jack Perry like simmer. Like we don't even have a like a good reason as to why it happened. I don't mean to draw this parallel, but it's kind of like the whole Shayna Baszler Ronda Rousey thing, when Shayna Baszler all of a sudden turned on Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank, and they lost the tag team title, right? And then on Monday night, Ronda comes out, and then Shayna came out, but at least Shayna did a good job saying, giving a reason why this split happened, why there's a rivalry now, So now we're like, okay, I get it. I gotcha. To her credit, Shayna Baszler, that spot, she did it very well, and it sold really well. Because even though that turn, like Jack Perry and Hook, even though that turn came out of nowhere, when Shayna Baszler spoke, you believed it, And this right, I don't believe it. I need something more,
This whole entire feud has been like very rushed, because even leading into Forbidden Door, there was no hint of problems between Hook and Jack Perry.
Yeah.
Like, they were fine. And we discussed this at length before, where if leading into Forbidden Door, the match between Jack Perry and Sonata, like if they were butting heads or whatever, then I would get it. But the turn came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And this build to this match has not been... It's only literally been like 2 to 3 weeks that we've been building, and it's mostly been Jack Perry running away in his car from Hook.
Yeah, right. We haven't seen Jack Perry come out in this new persona. We haven't seen him actually say a minute's worth of dialogue in this new persona. Okay. No, sir, I don't like it. Anyway, that brought us to our next actual wrestling match, which was Trent Beretta of the Best Friends versus the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer with Jake the Snake Roberts.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I miss Lance Archer on my TV screen, and just a little bit of an insider. Before Biconics 2.0 was a thing, me and JVL were just doing this on a whim. And Lance Archer is one of our favorites just because we love him just murdering people and destroying them, because that's basically his persona.
That's what he did.
This was a really fun match, but I knew once Lance Archer was going up against Trent, I'm like, oh, Trenty boy, you're going to get decimated. Yeah, this was a fun match.
It was.
I mean, we got preview because Trent and Lance have had multiple matches over in New Japan, so it was nice to see kind of the more fast-paced style of these two.
Yep.
Something we don't get to see very often on American television. Ultimately, Lance Archer wins, but then it is everything that happened afterwards, the match, that really is the important bit here.
Yep, because they called out Orange Cassidy, the Fruit, and with a very convincing Orange Cassidy, if you don't come out here, we're gonna kill these two. And Orange's music hit, and Orange Cassidy comes out, and Lance Archer put his hand and was going to choke slam Orange Cassidy, but Jake the Snake Roberts, I personally liked what happened, where Jake the Snake Roberts stopped Lance Archer. I was like, no, don't do it here, tomorrow night, and then Jake the Snake, and then they have Jake the Snake and Lance has Orange Cassidy's backpack with the title in it, and they're like, if you want this, you need to show up tomorrow night at Battle of the Belts. And then they walked off.
Perfect.
I thought that was good.
Honestly, this was a better last minute build to a championship match.
Yes.
This is fine.
Yep.
I did not like how we set up Tony versus Taya, but this one was better.
Yeah.
And that match should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for when I get to watch afterwards.
Yeah.
Battle of the Belt. Then the weirdest promo happened.
Right? What was up with that Double J Jeff Jarrett promo?
Okay, so they didn't do a good job.
What?
And it wasn't until commentary explained it after the video is over. I'm like, okay, so we know that Jeff Jarrett and Posse is currently feuding with the Matt Hardy compound, right?
Right. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, okay, like they've been going back and forth for the last couple of weeks. But then this promo is like, okay, are we getting like a 3-on-3, a four? No, I was like, oh. And then commentary had to explain it afterwards. I'm like, oh, both of these teams are going to be in the Royal Rampage, which is like basically their battle royale type of thing. I was like, oh, okay. I thought we were setting up a 6-man, so 3-on-3, but
Right.
all right, I guess
I
they didn't even
guess.
mention it in the promo.
I
The
know.
commentary had to explain that afterwards. I was like,
Yeah, that was
okay.
that was a very sloppy promo. I would have I would much rather see a 6-man. Ethan Page, brother
Zay.
brother Zay, and Matt Hardy versus Double J and his peoples.
Man, poor Ethan Page can't catch a break. How do you go from last week having an AEW championship match against MJF, getting
Right.
thrown back into this weird ass feud?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I know they're in Canada and everything, but come on.
Yeah. Yeah. But then this slid us into our next match, which was Takeshita versus Mentalo. And this was another squash match, unfortunately.
Fucking Don Callis entrance is, I'm still creeped out by the centaurs.
Right? What the hell
What
up
is
with
happening?
Centaur
What is happening?
Don Callis?
It's
Yo,
very it's very homoerotic, and I'm like, I don't know
I
what's
know,
going on.
right? And I know. I will admit though, because I'm almost positive that Chris Jericho was at the announcer's desk tonight. I thought that this was going to be another Don Callis, Chris Jericho spot.
I could totally see that, and I don't know, man. I'm hoping Chris Jericho doesn't screw with the Blood and Guts match next Wednesday.
Yeah, like if they
I was
want,
like, sir, yeah, you were in the last two. You could take several seats and just let the
yeah,
Blackpool Combat Club and the Golden Elite fight each other.
yeah, because there's more than enough there. Like, not say we don't need you, Chris, but we don't need you there. I feel that to nurture the whole like separation of the Jericho Appreciation Society, and yeah, let's continue this whole Don Callis, uh, thing. Let's continue that on the side, but yeah, don't mess with Blood and Guts. He doesn't not need to be anywhere near that match. As MJF said, he doesn't need to roll around in Moxley's blood. So it's fine.
God, Moxley's gonna bleed so much next
So
week.
much. So much. So much. So then after that, we had another very interesting promo. It was the Dark Order getting interviewed by Renee Paquette.
They have feelings.
They have feelings.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick, right? Once again, this is the same thing that applies with what I said about QTV. The Dark Order are being taken in two different storylines right now, and it's kind of messing everything up.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, these two storylines are not even on the same brand. So here on the AEW, the Dark Order has feelings against Hangman. Honestly,
Right.
after Blood and Guts, if we want to do the Hung Bucks and the Dark Order and a small little feud,
Right.
I'm here for it.
Yep.
So I think hopefully that's where we're leading. But then the secondary problem is that the Dark Order is fighting in Ring of Honor as well. And they're currently locked in a feud with the Righteous and former Dark Order member Stu Grayson. And it's so weird to see the different dynamics of their characters. And I'm not saying I like the Dark Order. I love seeing them on my television screen, but you need to pick a story and stick with it until that's done. Then you can move on to the other one.
Yeah.
I know you can have history with different wrestlers and everything, but I'm more interested in the Hung Bucks versus the Dark Order if that's what we're getting. And I don't know, man. This is also another problem. Like, we waited on this for a long, long time because Hangman was off dealing with the Blackpool Combat Club with the Elite for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it makes sense because Hangman left the Dark Order in the dust, and the Dark Order were the only people who were supporting Hangman when he won that championship off of Kenny. And then Hangman was kind of a douche and left them behind. But we've waited too long for this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, the good faith is there, so I'm still interested in it. But we need to pull the trigger. Once Blood and Guts is over, if we don't get Hung Bucks and Dark Order in some sort of feud, then I'm just like, okay, then what are we doing?
Yeah, it to me it almost feels like there's a whole bunch of stories kind of like log jammed right now that are waiting for like the Owen Cup tournament to end and then Blood and Guts to happen, and then these stories are gonna like start coming through. But it's just this. Yeah, it's just.
And then on top of that too, you have some of the AEW talent also stuck in Ring of Honor because Death Before Dishonor is next Friday. But as a funny side note, John Silver in that little purple vest, for how tiny and how jacked he is, the visual just made me laugh my ass off.
Yeah. Yup.
Oh, Johnny Hungy, I love you so much.
Yup. That was pretty funny. But yeah, so then, and this brought us to our main event, which was Willow Nightingale versus Athena. And this was the semi-final in the Women's Owen Hart Tournament Cup. Winner of this match is going to advance to face Ruby Soho for the Women's Owens Hart Cup Championship.
Match of the night for me. I will fight people on that. I might be biased because I love Athena and Willow, but these women put on... I wish, because this match was originally supposed to happen last week on Collision.
Yep.
But Willow was not cleared medically for that match because she was still feeling the ramification of getting her ass beat by Julia. The only downside to this match is, I get it, it's Rampage. I wish we got more time, so I'm wondering if they would have gotten more time on Collision, since it's 2 hours compared to an hour, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain, though. We got Julia Hart last week, and I love Julia Hart. This match was so much fun, and then my prediction came true, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and he asked me, so, who do you think is going to win between Athena and Willow? I was like, here's my thought process. I think Willow's going to beat Athena. Then next week on Ring of Honor, we'll probably get announced that Athena will take on Willow for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And then that's where Athena will beat her and retain the title, which would be cool. Though I kind of want Willow to win because Athena really has ran through the AEW and Ring of Honor women's roster. There's really no one else left, but it's neither here nor there. This match was phenomenal. What I love about Athena is probably my favorite women's wrestler just because of the heel work that she's doing. I love like the bratty teenager taunting that she does like at the beginning of the match. She like did one strap and then the other strap and then like was mocking Willow's thing. And then what I love about Willow is she's this very sweet individual, but then when you make her mad, she goes into beast mode.
Yeah.
And she will pick you up. She'll throw you the place.
Yep.
She will charge you into the corner.
Yep.
And because I think what helped this match is that this is not their first time facing each other. I was surprised that Willow got the surprise like roll up to win here, which makes sense because then you can perpetuate Athena being mad at saying that was a fluke or whatever. But this was my match of the night. Both women were phenomenal. I'm excited for Ruby versus Willow tomorrow night in the finals. So this should be a fun mate. This should be a fun finals for the Women's Cup.
Yeah. It was a good match. The two of them really got at it. A lot of power going on in that ring with the two of them. I am a little bummed with the end. It almost seemed like it might have been an audible to finish it like that, because it just like, oh, Athena slipped and boom, 1, 2, 3, done. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I was saying. That's the only downside, because I feel that we got less time for them than maybe they would have had on Collision.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if this was given like maybe 5 more minutes, then I'd be like, okay, you know what? That kind of if it were to end after 5 more minutes, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I can totally believe that, and that's fine with me.
Yep.
Yeah, the ending was kind of bummy. I was just like, oh man. I'm like, okay, it's fine, but I just wanted more time.
Yeah, give them 5 more minutes and more, because I can just see the two of them really beating the piss out of each other. I didn't get as much as that, which bummed me out. Not saying it was a bad match. It was still a good match. It was really entertaining. But that end just seemed very, very sudden, very out of nowhere. And but now we got Willow versus Ruby Soho coming up tomorrow night. So we're gonna see how that goes.
That match should be fun. But no shade to Ruby, but I hope Willow wins because she's on a hot streak right now.
Yeah.
My problem is if Ruby wins, the Outcast storyline has kind of been very plateaued for a bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if winning would do anything for Ruby and the group, but this should be fun. Overall, final thoughts on Rampage. Honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed this week's Rampage. It might be because of the fact that we built up pretty much 2 out of the 3 matches happening at Battle of the Belts tomorrow.
Yep.
Fun Rampage. There's a lot of stuff. QTV was definitely the lowest point of this whole thing.
Yeah. Like all the other spots were a little wonky, but at least like the hook spot, it was short. The double J Jeff Jarrett spot. And the Dark Order spot, at least there was a little bit more, for lack of a better term, dramatas to them.
Yes, it makes somewhat sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, QTV was just like, woo! It was another fun Rampage, and a lot of good build-up to stuff that's coming up tomorrow night. So, and next week as well. My wrestling friends, that will be the end of the AEW Rampage Clean-up. Join us again in a few hours when we have the Collision and Battle of the Belt review, which will be coming at you. But until then, I'm Adolfo, the Nerdy Puerto Rican, and
I am Mikey, the Pop Culture Geek, and this has been another episode of the Rampage Clean-up.
That's right. Hablamos luego.